in terms of industry itself, if you take, we are number 2 in terms of overall market share, right, and revenues as well. Make My Trip being the leader, right? But what we are seeing, at least what we are betting on, is if mobile is kind of growing at a faster pace, if we take leadership position on mobile, so in couple of years, then you can really take a crack at being number 1 at an overall level, because that's kind of what is growing, right? So if you look at like the 2-3 components of if you split the market share into areas that are kind of strategically relevant for us, so we are investing a lot in terms of hotels. We're investing a lot of resources behind mobile, right? So in these areas is where we are really kind of gunning after leadership position, rather than kind of the overall market, which is it's dominated by a lot of air travel as well, right? So we kind of focusing on segments which are kind of high value for us, and we want to be the most valuable OTA from that standpoint, right? So relatively, yeah, in terms of number 2, but in terms of the segments that we are going after, specifically mobile, we want to take a leadership position, right? So, and that's kind of what the focus for us as well being. So I think our internal benchmark is that in 18 months, you should see the tipping point in terms of mobile far kind of being more than the desktop, right? So at that point of time is when we think that will be from an overall market standpoint as well, that's a kind of a tipping point for as well in terms of overall revenue, right? So, but as of now, I think our focus is to be just being number 1 in terms of mobile, right? So that, and hopefully as this platform evolves, so that's an outcome. The overall number 1 leadership position is an outcome rather than something that we are gunning after. So the first foray was in 2010, which was a mobile site, right? It was basically a mobile optimized site, and meaning just to kind of contrast, on the desktop, we were like 5 years later is when we launched, right? That's when we started, and guys like Make My Trip already has the lead, right? But specifically on mobile, there was no disadvantage of not being a first mover, right? So we moved first. So in 2010 is when we kind of launched our mobile site. 2012 is when we launched the first app. 2013, we had pretty much all the apps across.